Good morning and welcome to our kitchen. I'm Gordy Galusha.
I'm Nancy Oshkosh.
Today we're going to be making chocolate zucchini bundt cake and also zucchini soup. And I'm going to start out with sauteing my sausage and my celery. I have a pound of sweet sausage in my big pot here. And I have a cup of celery that has to cook for probably 10 minutes so the celery will be clear. So I'm going to let this cook for a few minutes until the celery is done, and then we'll go on from there. Nancy, do you want to go on?
Sure.
Okay.
I'll take over for now. Today we've kind of switched things up. I'm going to do the dessert and Gordy's doing the soup and we're going to, our theme is the lowly zucchini vegetable. This is about the time that we're doing this, that the gardens are hopefully, still there. And if you had a good season, then the zucchinis usually are overwhelming the place. Everybody wants to give away zucchinis. So maybe these two recipes will be a help for you if you need to use some up. Okay, mine is a bundt cake, and I remember my aunt making a chocolate zucchini cake, which I couldn't find the recipe, but it was in a sheet pan or 9 by 13, and it had chocolate chip on the top that melted in, but this is a little bit different. This is a bundt cake, and it's still chocolate. So I have to do a couple of separate things here. I'm starting out with the dry ingredients. And in this bowl here, I have 2½ cups of all-purpose flour. You don't have to sift it, but I've, just lightened it up a little bit with my spoon. And to that, I'm going to add 1/2 cup of unsweetened cocoa. I don't make a lot of desserts anyways, and I finally got the idea to put my cocoa in the freezer so it doesn't get stale. So I think that's a good idea. So this goes with the flour. And now we want 2½ teaspoons of baking powder. So that would be 1, 2 1/2. And then 1½ teaspoons of baking soda. Okay, 1 teaspoon of salt. And 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. Okay, now this is stirred together, or I think, could you hand me
want a whisk?
A whisk? Oh, yeah. Keep forgetting where
You want a small one or a large one?
A small one's fine. Thank you. Mix this all up well. Okay, now we'll switch here. And turn to the wet ingredients in another bowl. Okay. I have 3/4 of a cup of soft butter or margarine. Hopefully I got it out of the refrigerator early enough. And 1 cup of white granulated sugar. And 1 cup of brown sugar. And I loosely packed the brown sugar. I'm going to mix this a little bit ahead of time and then use the beater. Things going all right over there, Gordy?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You're cooking. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, to this mixture now, I'm going to add 3 eggs, 1 at a time. Now I'm going to stir in two teaspoons of vanilla, 2 teaspoons of grated orange peel, and I have and my shredded zucchini, which I did earlier. And I have it here in the bowl, and this is about 3 cups of coarsely shredded zucchini, and it's about 1 pound. I had 2 medium ones. You might have to kind of drain it. It should be, the zucchini should be kind of moist. And if it's really dry, the directions said sprinkle a little water over it if you have to drain it. But we don't want dry zucchini. And mine, I didn't have to drain any water off, and I didn't add any, but it is moist. So. These are different recipes that if you have members of your family that turn their nose up at vegetables like this, you can maybe make things that they either won't know that there's zucchini in it, or it'll be palatable for them. Now, do you need to
No.
continue on?
No, you can finish if you'd like.
Okay, that is all mixed together. And we continue on. It's time to mix the dry ingredients into the zucchini mixture, and also adding some milk. So I want 1/2 cup of milk. Ready. I had better put the covering back on the cocoa, or I'm liable to knock it, and I don't want that to happen. So.
No, you don't want to be like me. Have it all over the kitchen.
So here we go. I hope I've add a little milk. More zucchini. This can get a little messy. Thank goodness there's not too much left here. Last ingredient. 1 cup chopped walnuts or pecans. I'm going to pour this into a large bundt pan that I've sprayed. You're not going to watch me do that because it could get messy. So we want a 350-degree oven. We want to bake it for about 50-55 minutes, and of course test it with a toothpick or whatever whatever you use, and then cool it for about 15 minutes before you turn it onto a cake plate. And then later I'll put together some stuff to drizzle, confectionery sugar mixture to drizzle over it. Okay, I'm ready to have it turn back to you.
Okay. What I have in my pot here is a pound of sweet sausage that I have sauteed down, and I have added a cup of celery until it gets softened. Now to these ingredients, I'm going to add 4 cups of zucchini, a cup of onions, this is very easy soup to make, and it's very good. You'll love it.
Maybe, yeah.
Okay, and I'm going to add 2 cans of diced tomatoes. And I'm going to add a can of water. Going to add another can of diced tomatoes. And another can of water. Watch it.
Thank you.
Did I break your toe?
No.
Okay, I'm going to mix this all up. I'm going to put in my spices, which are a 1/4 teaspoon of garlic salt, a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of sugar, a 1/2 teaspoon of basil, and 1 teaspoon of oregano. And I've mixed them all up. Now I'm going to add them to my ingredients in here. And I'm going to mix it all up. I'm going to bring it to a boil. Then it will cook for probably about 25 minutes this way. And when it's all done cooking, I will add 2 green peppers, and then I will cook it for 35 minutes more. And that should be the extent of cooking this soup. I'm going to add a little salt and pepper to it, not much. Okay. I'm going to put my cover on, and I'm going to bring it to a boil. Okay, now that's going to take a few minutes to cook, and when that's all done, I will add my peppers and then cook it some more, and then we'll have zucchini soup. Nancy's getting ready to put her beautiful chocolate cake in the oven.
Okay.
There. Okay, we're going to take a break for a second, and we'll be back. Okay, my soup is almost done. I have simmered it for 35 minutes, and I added 2 medium peppers. I cut them all up and put them in the soup and cooked them another 35 minutes. And it's all ready. I'll show you what it looks like. This is very good soup. I hope you try it. If you have a lot of zucchinis left, this is something that you can make. You can serve it with, you can serve it with crackers, or you can serve it with a hard crust roll. I have some soft rolls over there I brought to try. I'm going to this is what it looks like. Please try it because it's very good and very nutritious, and it's a good soup. Okay, over to Nancy.
Thank you. This is the finished product of the cake. I waited about 15 minutes before I got it out of the pan. It is still warm. It's going to take longer to cool down, but I want to make this glaze that you can drizzle over it when it is cool. In the pan here, I have, I'm making a half recipe at this point. I have 1 cup of powdered sugar. If you want to make the whole recipe, 2 cups of powdered sugar. I'm going to add to that. It says for a full recipe, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Well, I'll use a scant teaspoon. And full recipe is 3 tablespoons of milk. I will start out with 1.5. And I think that's a pretty good consistency. To pour on the cooled cake. So I'm not going to do it now. We do it thoroughly when the cake has cooled. Okay. When we come back, we'll be at our table to finish up the program. Welcome back to our table. This is program number 233. We featured zucchini, the beloved zucchini vegetable of our local home gardens. And if it's been a good season for growing, you probably have more zucchini than you really want. And you try to give them away, and everybody says, I don't need any more zucchini. So we decided to do a couple of recipes. I made the dessert this time, and Gordy made the soup, the main course. So I can start out with my bundt cake. It's a chocolate zucchini bundt cake, and it takes not too much, quite a few ingredients, and you have to start out with the dry ingredients in one bowl, and then wet ingredients in the other bowl, and then you mix them together alternately. I'm not going to go through all the recipes, all the ingredients, but it came out pretty good in a bundt cake, a bundt pan, and to finish it off, you would make some kind of a glaze. Could be a chocolate glaze, but I made a white confectionery sugar glaze, and I'm not putting it on the cake yet because it is still too warm to do it properly. And I made a half a recipe of the glaze, and that was 1 cup of powdered sugar and a little bit of milk and vanilla extract. And you know, if you want the recipes, Gordy will tell you how to get them. So I'm going to turn it over to Gordy now to explain her soup.
Okay, the second half of the cake recipe, I have made zucchini soup, which is, it takes about an hour to make the soup, but it's very good after it's all done and you sit down to eat it. You can have a hard roll or a soft roll like this, or crackers. I always like crackers, and it's a very good, healthy soup. To make it, I used a pound of sweet sausage. You can use hot if you would like, but I rather have sweet. And a cup of celery you have to cook. You cook your sausage, and then you put your celery in and cook it until the celery is clear. Then you add 4 more cups of zucchini and a cup of onions and 2 28-ounce cans of diced tomatoes. You add some garlic salt and some salt and sugar, basil, and oregano, and you bring it to a boil, and you cook it for about 35 minutes until all the zucchini is done. Then after 35 minutes, you put in 2 medium-sized peppers cut up, and you cook it for 35 more minutes before it's done. And this is the result after the 35 minutes are up, after the peppers have been added. So please do try it if you can. I know you'll like it. So if you'd like any of these recipes, please send a self-addressed stamped envelope to Dalton Community Cable, 151 Park Avenue, Dalton, Mass. 01226. And that's all from our kitchen today. Have a great day.